Keystone is the Visio data visualizer dataset generator for Visio diagrams. And what that means is that when you have a Visio diagram, you want to be able to edit it and do viewpoint-based modeling with it and AI analysis. And having a Visio diagram that's based on a data set makes it a lot easier to do all three of those. So many people are familiar with the Visio data visualizer plugin for Excel that takes a data table and turns it into a Visio diagram. And that's being sunset in March of 2026. And so that's not what this is, though. The Keystone Visio data visualizer dataset generator takes a Visio diagram and turns it into a data set that then can be reversed easily and put back into a Visio diagram after it's been analyzed, turned into viewpoint-based modeling, or used for AI analysis. So let's have a look at what that looks like. This is Keystone, the Visio data visualizer dataset generator. There's a light version that is limited to 20 steps. So if you pointed at a diagram, any size diagram, even the diagram we were just looking at, it'll convert that to the first 20 steps. It'll give you a data table with the first 20 steps. You can see what it looks like. You can see that it works, see how well it works, and give it a test drive. But when you actually want to be able to convert an unlimited amount of process steps in a diagram, then you need to get the full standard version, and that's here. And so then once you have that, let's have a look at the file that you get when you purchase it. It downloads as a zip file, and I've already unzipped it here, but you do a standard unzip process and you end up with a folder like this, and then it's an executable. And this is the Keystone Visio data visualizer dataset generator. It doesn't say Keystone on it here, but that's what it's called. So you might get an error if you try to run it from a network location, because Windows generally regards network locations as less secure. And so if you put it on your C drive in a folder, it's less likely to give any kind of a warning. But if it does get a warning, it might pop up a blue box that says Windows protected your PC, and you have to click the box that says more info, or it'll be something about continuing. And then you continue and you say run anyway would be a selection. You say, despite your warning, I want to run it anyway. And then, because you know where it's coming from. And so then you run the application, and this is what you get. And so you do it in 3 easy steps here. First, you select the Visio diagram that you want to convert. And let's work with this one right here. And so I'll plug in this URL here. And we need to actually give it, I'm going to set that for the output folder too. And we want to actually specify a file, so I'll browse to that here and select the file. This is the Visio diagram that you just saw. So we click on that. It's got the file name there. I want to do the first tab in it. There's only one. So I'm saying here, use the first tab. I could put that exact name in there. If I've got a bunch of tabs, I can put the exact name that I want to convert. But right here, I just put 1 because it's the first tab. They'll accept 1, 2, 3, whatever, if you prefer to do that, or the exact name. But then it's going to output back to this same folder. And step 3 is generate the data set. Click that. And you have to have Visio on your computer to be able to do this, but there's no reason you wouldn't have Visio if you're trying to convert a Visio file. And it gave me an error because I have the application open. I have this file open. So I'll just leave that, close the file, click OK, and then generate. The green bar means it's running. It's a very complicated diagram. It's a multi-swim lane, multi-phase diagram. So, but it's going to convert it accurately, 100% accuracy. There it is. There's the data file. And it says it's complete here. So let's have a look at it. Okay, here's your data file. This is all of the process boxes, all of the connector labels. And now you can immediately turn around and build a Visio diagram from this table, and the two will be linked, and we'll see that in a second. But right away, you see here, this is a lot easier for auditing. It's easy to immediately go through and see all the connector labels and change them any way you want. You can search through and look and see any inconsistent shape types or phases, and easily, as soon as you change any of the process boxes and put them in a different phase or a function, swim lane, it'll change it immediately in the diagram and reposition everything for you. So it makes it a lot easier to deal with Visio diagrams. But then also, besides just auditing, you can take this and turn this into viewpoint-based modeling and look at things like RACI or value stream, and we'll get more into that in a second. But let's build that diagram. So go back to Visio, and cross-functional flowchart data visualizer. Again, anytime you see Microsoft use data visualizer, it's talking about an Excel spreadsheet data set that's connected to a Visio diagram in some way, whether it's conversion from the data set to a Visio diagram or the other way around is not a part of the naming scheme. Okay, here's the folder. And now we're in Visio pointing to the data set that we want to turn back into a Visio diagram. But imagine that you've been in the data set and you've made changes now and you've done things, audit, and then you can turn it back into a Visio diagram that's connected. So we select it, it finds the data table, then we click next. And this is the only thing that really needs to be changed in the defaults. Typically, you want it to also look at that function order according to the function or swim lane. And then after that, all the defaults that are set are all standard. The Keystone Visio Data Visualizer Dataset Generator is made to work with all of these defaults. So it produces a data set that works perfectly with those defaults. So click Finish, and here's your diagram. And so the two things that are good to do right away, you see it's got the data design here. And you can refresh it now. It's connected to this Excel spreadsheet, but we're going to first here make it fit to one page just because that's nicer. But then also we can make those connectors curved, and that looks nicer. That's very easy to do here. We'll select all the connectors and then right click, change them to curved. There you go. Pretty as ever. So it looks just like the Visio diagram you had before, but this is a completely new one now that's connected to this data set that you created. So again, the idea is you've got a Visio diagram, you turn it into a data set, and then you recreate a Visio diagram from the data set, and now you have that link. And so now you can go in and you go to the Visio diagram, for instance, and this is the whole thing here, but you can zoom in and go up here. You see these are the phases and these are the swim lanes here. But if we come over here and look at this part right here, see here's the process box, watch dashboards for spikes. And if we go to the data file here, watch dashboards for spikes, and just add text, save it, and then go back to our Visio diagram and select it, refresh the diagram, and there it goes, and warnings. So you see it added the words just as we wrote them in the Excel. So it makes it a lot easier to update diagrams. If we went in into this and changed the phase and the function, it would redraw this box in the correct phase and function and reroute everything for us automatically. So it makes things a lot easier in that respect. And so let's look at something else, adding a connector label. So we go to the data table again, and we say, for instance, this process here, and we want to add a connector label, and just whatever, we can make it whatever we want, but we don't have to go hunting for it in the diagram. We can go right to the table, find what we're looking for, but it will be automatically redrawn into the diagram once we refresh it. So it'll appear somewhere in here. There it is, very important step. And so you can do that for anything in here. And so now you've got this data table that's great for auditing. And also it's great for being able to make this into viewpoint-based modeling. And so what that is that you've got the swim lanes, which would become the role or the viewpoint. And so that's who performs each activity. That's the function lanes. Or you've got the phase, which is the stage or the viewpoint. And that's when it happens in the life cycle. Those are the phase bands. You've got RACI viewpoint, who's responsible, accountable, consulted, informed for each step. A value stream viewpoint, you can create that directly from this data table by simply adding a new column and labeling that. There's a lot more on that with some example prompts on the website, but you can use value stream viewpoint, which is how work flows from demand to value delivered, with a focus on value add versus value, or waste and weight. And then you can also use control gate viewpoint, which is approvals, decision points, governance checkpoints, or artifacts and deliverable viewpoint, which is what gets created and used between documents and data and output. You've got system and system of record viewpoint, which is application and tool owns the action or the data. You can make a handoff viewpoint where work crosses roles or teams and coordination is required, or even an exception viewpoint with alternate paths, rework loops, escalations, and failure handling. So there's lots of opportunity there, but also too, you can do AI analysis with this now. You can take this data table, and it's way easier for LLMs to analyze data tables instead of a diagram. There are ways that you can sort of do simple diagrams in AI, and maybe it'll get better at some point and be easy to feed a whole Visio diagram in there. But it's always going to be easier, and it's always going to be more accurate and more foolproof to have it in a data table and feed that in. And there's prompts on the website, example prompts, to do some really great analysis. You got a big complicated process, big complicated diagram, turn it into a data table, get a good prompt in there, send that into an LLM, get some really great analysis and perspective on your processes very easily. And it's very powerful. That alone is very powerful. All right. So once you have this data table, then you've got it linked to your Visio, and you can audit it. You can do viewpoint-based process modeling with and create new diagrams. And again, there's a lot more on the website for that. And then also with the AI analysis, feed it into your LLM of choice, do all kinds of great analysis. And that's all made possible by the Keystone Visio data visualizer dataset generator. Once you transfer that, you create a data set from your Visio diagram. That's where all these possibilities open up. All right. Thank you.